So this is a review of the third type of problem that we have in a stoichiometry assignment sequence. Remember we had step number one was, or assignment number one was the mole ratio assignment. And if you're confused about that one, I made a little video about that right here, video mole ratio help. The second assignment was mass-mass stoichiometry, and there's a little video here about how to do that. So the difference between these two is in this assignment, you were given moles, and you're asked to find moles. If you look at it, you'll see here. So you have moles given to you, and it says how many moles. So all of these just involve one step where you use the mole ratio. So you write down this number, then you put moles of CO2 on top and moles of C2H4 on the bottom. There'd be a 2 in front of the CO2 and a 1 in front of the C2H4. Then you do the math and you'd be finished. The stoichiometry mass-mass problems were a little bit more complicated because there you had to, before you could use the mole ratio, you had to take the number of grams that were given and change them to moles. So we're reviewing that real quick. Here's a problem. So you take the 7.2 grams of water, change it to moles, then you do the mole ratio just like in the previous assignment. And then you take the number of moles you get and change it to grams. In this case, it'd be grams of CO2. There are videos to help you with both of those. Today's assignment was a little different and yet the same, because what it expected you to do is actually differentiate how many of the three steps you had to use in each problem. So let's take a look at what that might look like. I can get my window to come over here. Here we go. Here we are. So there are three steps in the stoichiometry problem. Step one is you have to change to moles. Step two is use the mole ratio. Step three is change to the unit that you want. Usually that's grams, but sometimes it's liters. Even more rarely it's atoms or molecule, but I won't use those most likely, so it'll just be liters or grams. So there are your three steps in the stoichiometry process. You don't always have to use all three steps. Let me show you. So if you're looking at this first problem here, for example, in the formation of carbon dioxide, see how you're given moles and you're asked to find moles. So therefore that'll be a one-step problem, and you just have to use the mole ratio. If you go down to, say, number 6, and let's go to number 8, one we didn't do in class. So if you, in this case, you're given 320 grams of oxygen. So would you need to do the first step, change to moles? Yes. So you would have to do change to moles. I'm not sure what happened here about ski attack bindings. Let's go back. There we go. So we'd have to change to moles. First step, change to moles. Okay, this is number 8, wasn't it? My mouse pad is starting to die on me. So let's go down, use a mouse. Okay, come down to number 8. Here we go. So we were doing number 8. So we have 320 grams. We need to change that to moles. Then the question says how many moles of water will be formed. It doesn't ask how many grams of water, it just asks how many moles. So if we set that up, we'd write down our 320 grams of propane. And maybe I can make this happen. There we go. So we'd write down our 320 grams of oxygen, not propane. So 320 grams of oxygen. You want to change that to moles. You'd have grams here, you'd have moles here. We're not in the mole ratio, so 1 mole. And then that would be 32. It's really important to do what I didn't do, and that is write down the O2. Okay, that was step 1. So you change to moles. Now we need to do the mole ratio step. So the mole ratio step involves using the moles of what you have and what you're looking for. So what are you looking for here? How many moles of water? So you're going to put moles of water on top, and of course you know that moles of oxygen are here, so they have to go on the bottom. Moles of oxygen, then moles of water on top. Then you look at your equation and see what you've got. So you have 4 and 5. 4, 5. So since the question doesn't ask about how many grams of water or how many liters of water or anything, you're finished at that step, and this is only a two-step problem. So in this problem, you use step 1 and step 2. Let's take a look at a different one, so maybe number 10 or something. Yeah, this case, number 10. So number 10 says, how many moles of ammonia can be produced from 44.8 liters? So you'd have to change that to moles. And then it asks for moles, so it's again going to be a two-step problem, much like this one was. Now if we go to, let's go back to number, say, I'll find a different kind. Oh, here's number 7. So number 7, we're given moles to start with. So do we have to do the first step? No, because it's already done for us. So we start with a mole ratio, and we did this one in class, but mole ratio, and then you go to the units that you want, which is the number of grams of water. So this will be a two-step problem, but this time the two steps would have been these two steps. All right, and then, so there's the problems here where there is only one step, which involves using the mole ratio. There's the two-step problems where you go from, you have to change the moles, then use the mole ratio. Or there are two-step problems where you use the mole ratio and then you change to your unit. That's also a two-step, like number 7. And then some of these problems will require all three steps, where you have to change the moles, do the mole ratio, and you change your unit. That was like number 13 that we did in class. So in 13, we had liters, which had to be changed to moles. You always use the mole ratio. And then the question asked us for grams of carbon dioxide, so we had to do a third step and change it to grams. Down here, you've got, just looking at 14, you've got 30 grams, so you're going to change that to moles. Use the mole ratio, because you have to use the mole ratio every time, so change the moles, use the mole ratio. And then the last step is going to be to change it to liters. So that would be change your unit. Here the unit is liters, so it'll be multiplied by 22.4 liters per mole. So my next class is coming in a couple minutes. That was kind of a quick video, but it gives you a big picture overview of this assignment. They're either going to be one step or two steps or three steps. And you have to decide which steps to use. These are the steps. If they give you moles, you do step 2 and 3. If they give you grams, you're either going to do 1 and 2, or you're going to do, or if they give you liters, you do 1 and 2 grams. If they give you either grams or liters, steps 1 and 2, or steps 1, 2, and 3, depending on what they ask you to find. If they give you moles and ask for moles, it's just a one-step problem. But there are only a couple of those in this assignment. I think that's good enough. So hopefully that helped a little bit.